Hey, sports fans, PBnZ Sports Chaos. We're back in the studio this week. PB's down in Florida. I'm up here in what's getting to be a little bit cool New England. PB, you got a little beer going on. What's the beer you're drinking this week, sir?
So I went with one that's over on the Gulf Coast in St. Petersburg. It's called Three Daughters Brewing, and this particular one is called Bimini Twist IPA. It's 7.0, got a little citrusy hint to it, pretty hoppy. It's a great beer. I really like it.
Oh, all right. I continue with my happy hour beverage this week. I'm not drinking a martini. I'm very upset about that, but I do have a little bit of whiskey on the rocks.
What
All right, let's
whiskey?
hit this thing. Let's do our 2-minute drill, and then we'll get right into football. All right, I got to talk right off the bat. This is for our friend Ricky P., a loyal fan, longtime follower of the show, Polish guy. Last week at the French Open, if I get this name right, hopefully I do, she was unranked. Iga Swiatek, I believe is how you say that. First Polish person ever, male or female, to win a tennis major. Good for her. Wow, congratulations. Ricky, the Polacks can play tennis apparently. All right. Hey, speaking of foreigners, the Frenchman, Rafi Nadal, well, you know, he's a Spaniard, but he won. His home country should be France because he won for the 13th time at the French Open. PB, he's now tied Federer, the all-time men's leaders, with 20 majors, but he's won 13 at the French. Should there be an asterisk around that?
Not at all. Not at all. And the reason is because it's still, albeit it's a clay court, it's still a court. He plays fantastic on it. And it's just like anything else when in other sports, when you're playing in different environments, different stadiums, different, outfields and baseball parks. I mean, there's no asterisk to be put.
All right. Little FYI, he's 102 at the French Open. That is crazy math. Oh, my God.
That's insane.
All right, speaking of all-time stuff, I hate to say this, but the Lakers, they won this past week. Their 17th NBA title. They tie the Celtics all-time. It did go to 6 games. You were correct. I thought the Heat would get swept, but they did win 2 games. Good for them. But they are now tied, Lakers and Celtics, and I have a funny feeling because the Lakers are favored already for next year. The Celtics will be looking at the backside of the Lakers for a few years going forward. By the way, PB, now all the talk, as we heard, LeBron won his 4th title and his 4th MVP, and everybody's like, GOAT, we know what that means. He's been in 10, yes, but he's 4-6. Michael was 6-0. Bill Russell was 9-1. I can't give him that yet. You?
Well, the interesting thing about LeBron is he has done it with different teams.
3 different teams, yep.
There's something about stepping into an environment and winning. I mean, let's look at Brady. Brady's, 6-3 in Super Bowls, right?
Correct.
He's lost his fair share of them. He's been in 9.
Yeah.
If you took Tampa to a Super Bowl, right, even if let's say he was, that would make him 7-3, still the GOAT. But let's say he was 500. Let's say he was 4-4 or
right.
5, and he goes in and wins with another team. I think that does take you to a different level. And the fact that he's done it with 3 teams, I think that says a lot.
All right. Hey, by the way, the other LA team, they hired Tyrone Lue to be their head coach this week. They're the number 2 favorite going into next year. We'll see. We'll talk basketball later on in the year. By the way, it's just around the corner, apparently. They're going to start, I guess, in December, right? So we'll see. All right. A little remorseful thing this week. Another baseball legend passed away. This guy I did see play, not the other guys. Joe Morgan from the Big Red Machine, the second baseman, Hall of Famer. 20 years on ESPN as the play-by-play guy, or the color guy, I should say, on Sunday Night Baseball. Sad to see that. That means Whitey Ford last week, Bob Gibson the week before. By the way, a little DYK about Whitey Ford. I did not know this. All-time winningest pitcher in the World Series. Did you know that?
Wow. No, I did not know that.
10 World Series wins. And by the way, Bob Gibson, he was the meanest guy that ever pitched in baseball. Even Hammer and Hank Aaron said, I would not look at him the wrong way because I knew I'd get hit in the butt.
Well, and not too soon before that was Tom Seaver, too.
Tom Seaver, Lou Brock. Yeah, I mean, a lot of legends in the last couple months this year. Tough year for Hall of Famers. All right. Hey, speaking of baseball, League Championship Series going on. the Pukes, I mean the Stros, they pulled one out against the Rays last night. That series is getting tight. It's now 3-2. Carlos Correa hit his second walk-off home run in playoff history. He's now tied with Big Papi. But even more so, that was his 19th home run in the playoffs. He's 4th all time. I know they play a lot more games, but that's still kind of respectable, the fact he's got 19 home runs. Wow, this game is getting out of control. Hey, by the way, a little DYK for you, PB. Speaking of playoff home runs, this is one I didn't know either. Who has the most playoff home runs all time?
Manny Ramirez.
Oh, you are right. Manny Ramirez with 29. I would not expected that, but you know what? As we said, they play more playoffs. Yes, Manny, way to go. Good job, PB. All right, out west, the Braves are 1 win away from beating the Dodgers. I know I picked them. I think you picked them, the Dodgers, to win the World Series. Unbelievable. After the shellacking they got the night before, 15-3, they pitched the 3rd straight rookie in the playoffs, first time ever, and they won the game against Clayton Kershaw. Clayton Kershaw, by the way, PB, now, DYK, he's 1 game under 500 in the playoffs, 99 over 500 in the regular season. Is he one of the biggest chokers of all time in the playoffs?
Put him right up there with David Price, right? Obviously, that's a bad record. I mean, differential between his regular season record is insane. So, hey, I got a DYK for you. Who was his roommate in college?
The Detroit Lions quarterback, Matty Stafford.
Good job.
Yeah.
All right.
College and I think they went to high school together too, if I'm not mistaken. Hey, by the way, the Braves, Acuna and Ozuna, are these guys like the Batman and Robin of MLB or what, huh?
I know, really.
Oh, man. Hey, and the Braves. All right, so let's talk about this. The Rays are starting to get some household names. This kid, Arozina, do I have that right? Randy? He's becoming a presence. Do you think the Rays win this series at this point in time?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to come back from 4-0. I mean, from 3-0 to win a 4-game series. I mean, the Astros can do it. The thing with these games is every game is like a 1 or 2 run game. They're low scoring. They're not like the fiasco that's going on in the National League right now with the Braves and the Dodgers with 10, 15 runs every game. So I do think that because they're 1-run games, that it could go either way every game. So I wouldn't be surprised if Houston pulls off a 2004 Boston Red Sox and comes back down from 3-0. But I'm still going to give the nod to the Rays to win that series.
And what about in the West?
The West,
NL, the NL.
In the NL, it's already, the Braves are already up 3-1, so I don't think the Dodgers will come back from that. So we'll give it to the Braves. I mean, I had the Dodgers in, but I think the Braves will take that series as well.
I will just say this right now. If it's the Rays and the Braves, it'll be the lowest watched World Series in history. I know I'll watch college girls volleyball before I watch any of those games.
Could be. But what would be interesting is if the Rays do end up winning this whole thing and you have your Stanley Cup champion, Tampa Bay Lightning, and then you have your baseball champion, Tampa Bay Rays. They're 2 of their 3 sports teams, and the other one is Tom Brady's Buccaneers. So it would be quite a sight to see 3 teams from the same city. There are only 3 teams that are in that city all win a championship in the same year. That would be incredible.
All right, we'll see, man. We'll see. That will be interesting. All right, hey, by the way, college football, let's get into this. I don't know if you saw this last night. I did catch this game because I wasn't watching baseball last night. I took a night off. It was Arkansas State, Georgia State, 59-52 Arkansas State. This kid, Jonathan Adams from Arkansas State, I think he had 15 catches, like $177, 2 touchdowns. He'll be a household name next year, watching the draft. If he's not picked in the first round, definitely a second-round pick. By the way, Arkansas State had 8 touchdown passes, only 4 by their starting quarterback. Whoa, what the heck? Good game. All right, this week, Bama, who came off a tough game last week, they're going to have a big test because they played Georgia without their head coach who's got COVID, right? Nick Saban came down with the virus. Oh, man, I don't know what to think about this. Is this a problem? Do you think Alabama is going to have a problem without their head coach?
Under normal circumstances, probably not. But the fact that they're going to play in Georgia against a team that right now looks like they are going to be a college football playoff team, I think there will be a problem.
Oh, man. All right. Hey, by the way, Clemson, they proved that the Canes are not for real, so I'm not wearing my Canes hat like I said I would last week because they handled the Canes easily. They were not ready for the storm down there in Miami, apparently. They didn't board up the windows. Clemson took them apart. Defending champ LSU, they're gone. See you later. They won't be in the rankings anymore this year. PB, your pick for the playoffs, your other pick, Florida, they're gone. And by the way, Danny Mullen, their head coach, he yapped a little bit too much about having a home crowd this week next week, because when they came back home after being down at Texas A&M in front of a full crowd, he's got, 21, 23 kids that have the virus now?
He has it right.
Man, all right. He cried too much, I think. All right, let's talk about our picks. Last week, I think I went 2-2. You went 2-2. We both had the Sooners. That's all I care about at this point in time. Let's talk about picks this week. I'm going to put on the board this week BC. I haven't picked them all season long, but you know what? They are now a 12-point underdog to Virginia Tech. By the way, fans, if you missed this, BC lost to North Carolina 2 weeks ago by 4 points, but they were going for a tie, and they missed the 2-point extra point. It got returned for another 2 points. Otherwise, they could be in the top 20. Who knows? Who do you like in this game? BC and Virginia Tech. VT is favored by 12.
I mean, it's a lot of points. BC's been playing pretty tough this year. They did cover against North Carolina in that game, so I'm going to take BC with the points that they cover.
I am as well. All right. Texas A&M, fresh off the win last week against Florida. They go to Mississippi State. Who do you think there? 5-point game. Texas A&M favorite.
Yeah, I do like A&M in this game. A&M's only loss was to Alabama. They had a big win over Florida last week, so I'll lay the points on the road and take the Aggies.
I am too. As much as I want to pick Mike Leach's team, I got to pick Texas A&M right now. All right, Auburn goes to South Carolina. Auburn's favored by 3.5. They're the 15th team in the country. South Carolina's not ranked, but my niece Catherine called me up this morning and said, Uncle Russ, little inside information, which I cannot tell you. So I'm going to pick South Carolina based on that.
All right, I'm going to go against that. I mean, Auburn's only loss this year was at Georgia. So they're basically one win away from being probably a top 4 team if they had won that game. So I'll, again, take the road team, lay the 3.5 over South Carolina.
All right, and the big one, Georgia, actually, it's at Alabama. Georgia's at Alabama. It was a 6-point spread before Saban's news. It's now down to 4.5. I don't think that's a big deal, but it is 4.5. Who do you like?
Well, both teams are 3-0. Both teams are playing great football. I do think Georgia's for real, though, and they're getting points, albeit 4.5. I think they can actually win that game outright.
Whoa!
An upset. All 4 of my picks this week in college are all road teams. I'm going to take the Bulldogs on the road to beat the Tide.
Woo! I got Bama. All right, man. It's a gutsy pick. I like it. I didn't have the guts to pick that one. All right. Hey, NFL news. We got COVID all over the place. By the way, I got to mention to my boy G Money, his lock of the week, the Dolphins. They did cover because they won the game. They got a +9, but they ended up crushing San Francisco. So good job, G Money. Pats Broncos canceled last week. They play this week. We're not going to pick that game, but we both think Pats cover easily and win that game, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about covering, but they'll win the game. All
right. Hey, Colts, by the way, a breakout COVID-19, but apparently it's negative. They're okay to go, correct? That's the latest news I heard.
As of right now, that game is still on against Cincinnati, yes.
All right. Titans and the Bills. I just got to talk about that for a minute. I've talked to a couple of guys I've coached football with. They still cannot believe a team had no practices over 2 weeks playing an undefeated team, not the Washington Generals of basketball against the Harlem Globetrotters, but a decent team, the Bills, and the Titans dominated them. That was pretty impressive. Do you agree?
I do agree. I think Mike Vrabel's an excellent coach. They're a balanced team. Their offense is good. Tannehill's a game manager. Their defense is solid. They held down one of the top offensive teams in the league. I think the Titans are for real.
2 questions for you. Does that mean practice is overrated in the NFL?
A little bit in the sense that, I mean, think about guys that have, you know, they're questionable. They have some injuries. They don't practice Wednesday. They don't practice Thursday. They'll get maybe a half practice in on Friday, and then they do the walkthrough Saturday, and then they're back on the field Sunday. So it's probably overrated. And as long as you're staying in shape and you understand the schemes, it could be overrated.
All right. I know a lot of you guys, we have a little group chat that goes on, and our text messaging, you all thought the Bills thought they overlooked them. I think, and I want to ask you, do you think, were the Bills just a little bit weary of playing because of the situation around the Titans with COVID?
I don't think so.
Okay.
On that field, I think there's a mental state that you get into. I don't think that played a factor.
All right. Hey, by the way, let's move on. Coaching block. As we predicted, it had to happen. Dan Quinn was fired. Not only was he fired, the GM, Dimitrov, was fired as well. Good move. The Falcons have too much talent. By the way, does that mean Adam Gase is on the clock?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, they cut Le'Veon Bell. By the way, Le'Veon Bell went to heaven. He goes to Kansas City, right?
Yeah.
He goes from never seeing a Super Bowl title ever again to probably a very good chance, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, that was it.
Oh, my God. All right, you got any other takeaways before we move into this week?
No, let's get right into the picks.
All right. Hey, by the way, you hear about this? I got one little thing for you. The Saints apparently are desperate for fans. They want to play at LSU now because New Orleans says you can't have fans, but Baton Rouge says you can. Is that a good move?
We'll have to see how that plays out.
Oh, man. All right. Hey, real quick, who are your 2 worst teams in the league right now?
I mean, it's hard not to say the Falcons because they just can't find a way to win. But the Giants are looking pretty bad. The 2 New York teams, the Jets and the Giants right now.
It has to be the 2 New York teams. Don't you agree?
Yeah, the Jets and the Giants. I mean, depending on see what the Falcons do, you know, but I don't know. It's tough.
Hey, by the way, do you want a mulligan on your pick your best teams in the AFC? You picked Indy, they're done, and Kansas City last week.
No, Indy's not done. And Kansas City is real. I'm not taking a mulligan on that. I do think that Pittsburgh and Tennessee and potentially Baltimore will definitely be in the conversation, and probably Buffalo. But Case, Indy, I mean, those are your 6, playoff teams right there, probably. But I think you'll see. I mean, Indy's defense is for real.
Are they 3-2 now, though?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Let's get into our picks. You want this one? I didn't want to pick this one, but we're going to do it anyways. The Rams, my team, goes to San Francisco. Both those teams you think suck, but apparently we're going to pick them. Who do you like in this game?
I mean, and you know what? I'm going to take the Rams. I think the Rams are one of the best teams actually in the league right now. Do you know, I'm going to get a little DYK for you. They are the only team in the NFL that has 2 top 5 offenses and defenses based on yards allowed. They're number 4 in both, number 4 offense and number 4 defense in the NFL in yards allowed. That says a lot. They're a very well-balanced team. But I got a little DYK for you. There's only 2 other teams in the NFL that have a top 11 offense and defense in yards allowed. Do you dare to guess who they are?
You mean yards produced and yards allowed, both ways?
Yards allowed per game and yards gained per game. Offense and
yards allowed and yards. One of them was probably Tampa Bay. The other one is probably Pittsburgh.
No, my friend. No.
What is it?
It's the Arizona Cardinals and the New England Patriots.
Oh, the Pats are good in offense, huh? Wow.
The Pats are number 8 in the NFL in offense and number 11 in defense, and Arizona's number 10 in both offense and defense in yards allowed. In yards and allowed.
All right. Little foreshadowing there because we're going to talk about the Cardinals in a minute. Right.
We are. Points is a different story. If you look at points allowed and points against, it's different teams. But for yards, those are the teams.
Chicago goes to Carolina. Carolina's favorite. Chicago's 4-1. They came off an impressive win against Tampa Bay. Who do you like?
Yeah, I mean, Carolina's playing some good football. They have the number one offense right now in the NFL in yards per game. And I just don't think Chicago's for real, despite their record. So I'm going to take the Panthers in this game.
I'm struggling with this one because I thought Carolina would be last in that division. I thought Matty Ice would lead the Atlanta Falcons over him, but Teddy Bridgewater's doing well. But I'm going to take Chicago anyway. I'm going Chicago. All right. The big one between legendary quarterbacks. The Packers go to Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
We've got PB's favorite team, Green Bay, versus who I think will be number one in the NFC by the end of the year, Tampa Bay. Who do you like?
Yeah, well, Green Bay does have the number one offense in points per game this year. Tampa Bay sneakily has the number 2 defense in yards allowed per game. So this is going to be an interesting matchup. It's in Tampa Bay. I think Brady shows up for big games against big quarterbacks. So I'm going to give the nod to the Bucs in this one, believe it or not.
I believe they're 1-1 in their career against each other, Rodgers and Brady, by the way. I got the Bucs as well. All right. The Browns, who I picked in a big upset last week against Indy, your team, they go to Pittsburgh. Is this payback week? Are they Pittsburgh going to beat up on Myles Garrett after last year's incident?
Right. Yeah, right. That was a big deal. This is Pittsburgh, easy. I mean, Cleveland, I think is not for real. Pittsburgh has the number 3 defense in yards allowed, the number 6 defense in points allowed. Their defense is for real. Their offense is legitimate. I'll take the Steelers.
I'm with you. Steelers all day long. All right. This one's a tough one for me. Cardinals and Dallas. By the way, we forgot to mention earlier, Dak Prescott, a horrendous injury. I hope he comes out of that, recovers well. But I believe Dallas has the best backup quarterback in the league. Guy started for 10 years for the Bengals, Andy Dalton. Who do you like here?
Yeah, just like I mentioned earlier, Arizona has a top 10 defense and a top 10 offense. Dallas isn't showing – I mean, their offense was great with Dak. They were the number 1 offense in yards per game. The defense, obviously, not so much. I don't think they have what it takes, though, to get past the Cardinals. And I think the Cardinals go on the road and win that game.
The only way Cowboys can win, if they can flip the offense around and be 50-50, and I know they got 3 offensive linemen out of the starting lineup, but they've got to find a way to be more balanced. I think they're going to try to with Dalton as the quarterback. We'll see, but I still think Kyler, my boy from OU, they pull it out on the road, and Arizona wins. All right. The other big one in the AFC for the 2 contenders, in my opinion, Chiefs go to Buffalo. Both of them have embarrassing losses. Chiefs lost to the Raiders. Bills lost to a team that didn't practice for 14 days. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Kansas City's more capable of bouncing back. Buffalo tends to go in ebbs and flows historically. And with that loss to Vegas last week, I think that was their wake-up call. We've seen this happen with New England when they had Brady for a while. They did win 3 or 4 games to start the year, lose one, and then they would just kind of kick it into another gear. And when you get into a shootout with 2 offensive teams such as these, I think the better quarterback ends up winning. And in this case, that's Mahomes. So I'm going to give the edge to Kansas City in this game.
I'm so tempted, but I have to agree with you. You're right. Kansas City wins the game. But
right.
I do believe that Vegas and the Patriots expose Kansas City a little bit. So we'll see as the year goes on.
We'll see. So did you take the Rams or the Niners?
I got the Rams.
You got the Rams. So the only game we're different on is Chicago and Carolina this year.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
All right, man. Good show. We'll see. We'll talk to you next week. Have a good weekend. Thank you, fans.
All right.